All right, guys, you asked for it and I'm delivering to you guys. I'm doing a deep dive video today on nutmeg spice. So I've never really covered nutmeg spice on the channel, and it is definitely one of the warm spices that's used quite a bit in fragrances. And it's one of those spices that I think is more like a chameleon. It's like, depending on what it's paired with, it acts a bit differently. So it's used in warm fragrances, warm spicy fragrances, and it's also used in fresh fragrances. Like in fresh fragrances, it provides a slight warmth and a zing to the compositions. But you know, with the warm fragrances, it adds its kind of warmth to it, warm spicy edge. Now, compared to ingredients or notes like cinnamon, cloves, or even cardamom, and I think cardamom is more of a fresh spice, and nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves are warmer spices. So if you compare it to cardamom, first off, cardamom has this kind of a soapy camphor type of a freshness. So cloves has a bit of a medicinal quality. And then also cinnamon is so fiery hot. They just don't smell the same. But, you know, still with the nutmeg, you still have that warmth. But there's something more subtle about nutmeg in comparison to a lot of other spices. So I wanted to highlight the video of nutmeg fragrances today. And a lot of these fragrances either will be nutmeg focused or nutmeg as a supporting role. So they're not going to necessarily be about the nutmeg. But when I see a fragrance come up in the list, I'll let you know if it's about the nutmeg or if the nutmeg is playing a supporting role. So I've got 2 pages of fragrances only, and actually not a full page on the second page, but although I think we've got around 50 to 60 fragrances total today. But let me know if you're a fan of nutmeg and fragrances. How do you like nutmeg in fragrances? Do you like it more as a fresh fragrance, or do you like it more as a warm fragrance? Let me know. Add a comment below and let's get started with nutmeg in fragrances. All right, we're going to start off with a fragrance from the house of 4711. I seem to be featuring this house and some of their ACQUA Colonia fragrances in the videos starting at the first place because it's a numbered fragrance. So 4711's ACQUA Colonia Lime and Nutmeg is the first fragrance I'm talking about. And here, the nutmeg is going to provide that zing that we were just speaking about when it's paired with fresher notes. And lime is considered a fresh note. And that's exactly what you have. You have some warmth with the nutmeg. But like, let's say, example, you paired the lime with cinnamon. That cinnamon is going to overpower. And there's a subtlety about nutmeg still providing its warmth, but here it's providing that quite of a bit of a zing to the fragrance. So I'm going to pause the video one more time. I forgot to bring scent strips. I'll be right back. Again, let me know if you're a fan of nutmeg. Let me know what your favorite nutmeg fragrances are. And let me know once you're watching this video if you like any of the fragrances I'm talking about. And yeah, exactly that. So lime is a citrus note that doesn't come up too frequently in fragrances. And I like it when it comes up, you know, whenever it comes up, I try and see what they've done with the lime note here. Because I love a lot of, you know, tequila drinks, margaritas and things like that. And I get to smell the lime so much. And I'm really obsessed with the smell of lime, especially when it comes to drinking margaritas or tequila or even like a Corona or something. So I think what they've done here with the lime is they've, you know, captured that kind of zingy smell of the lime, but they've also warmed it up with a little bit of a zing and a kick with the nutmeg note here. So I feel like it's more about the lime, but it's also, when it's drying down, it becomes more about the nutmeg. So next up, I've got a fragrance from the house of Amouage. This is Epic. So Epic Man, actually, I should say. Epic Man is not my favorite Amouage. I've heard a lot about this fragrance, and a lot of men consider it one of the best. For me, it seems like it's filtered. Like, I feel like it's not what I hear, what people explain to me. It's not only the one I have here, which is a tester. I've sampled it in stores as well. Has it gotten reformulated where some people that are commenting and saying that it's like one of the best fragrances, and whenever I experience the latest offerings, it comes off flat and not as oomphy as I'd like it to be. But to me, this is actually nutmeg is pretty prominent here. And you can tell its subtleties. It's got that warmth that it provides to ambery kind of style fragrances, but it doesn't overpower like that cinnamon or the cloves or even, the cardamom. I think the best experience with nutmeg is, those of you that are in the States, and I don't know if they do this in Europe or elsewhere, it's with what do you drink in the Christmas time? Eggnog. So it's the best time to really acquaint yourself with nutmeg, because that is a prominent spice that's used in eggnog. And actually, some coffee shops used to have like nutmeg that you can sprinkle on top of your coffee or lattes and things like that as well for a while. But I have some nutmeg bean or nut, I guess, and you've got a little shaver, and you can shave it on top of your coffees and things like that. So it does provide a very strong flavor. So I do it very lightly, but if you overdo it, it becomes too much, and you can kind of experience its warmth. And here with this, it is quite nutmeg focused. It is smoky. It is ambery as well. And it's got a lot of spices in addition to the nutmeg. But the nutmeg is kind of front and center with the other more substantial notes like amber and resins and smoky touches and things like that. It's not my favorite fragrance from Amouage. I prefer others. But I think it's pretty good. I just feel like it's like this is a reformulated edition and everybody says, oh my God, it's the best fragrance ever. But let me know your thoughts. Epic Man from Amouage. Next, going to the house of AZZARO. This is Visit. Visit by AZZARO. I recently picked this up because some folks said that this is kind of similar to Gucci Rush. Whereas after I picked it up, I thought, okay, well, not quite, but maybe faintly. What do you guys think? It comes with a little pamphlet inside my box. So maybe because this has gotten diluted, the formulation has changed since when they first launched it. I mean, in the background, I can kind of tell it is got some reminders of Gucci Rush, but this is somewhat different in comparison to that. But it's mostly a fresh fragrance, but there is some warmth under there. And you can kind of pick up the subtleties of the nutmeg note in this. It's perfect, When you want some warmth in a mostly fresh fragrance, I feel like that nutmeg note provides that. And let me know if you guys are fans of the note, as I said. And do you enjoy it in cuisine? I think it's a holiday spice. It's one of the holiday spices. I think I have a video on the channel of holiday spice fragrances. If you guys are curious, you can go catch that. But this is the first spice deep dive video I've done. I've got videos on cloves and holiday spices, as I said, cinnamon and things like that, even cardamom, ginger. Obviously, we did actually, I should take that back. Ginger was the first deep dive I did. But for some reason, ginger is more fresh, so it was kind of more of a fresh category because it's a fresh spice to me. This is more of the warm spice. But I also think that ginger is used in holiday spices as well, like gingerbread man and things like that. So the next fragrance I forgot to mention is BOIS 1920 Sushi Imperiale. So early on, this was one of my favorite fragrances from this house. And I think what's happened with the brand, the perfumer and the brand owners had a falling out. And since then, the brand hasn't been like it used to be. It was a lot more hyped. People really loved it. Barney's stores sold BOIS 1920. And keep in mind, it's BOIS, not Bois. It's an Italian brand. It's called BOIS. I was corrected the first time I mentioned to it Barney's associate. It's not Bois, it's BOIS. So, but Sushi Imperiale to me gave me that kind of like apple pie-like experience. But when you're typically used to apple pie kind of style fragrances, they're usually thicker and denser in eau de parfum or even parfum concentration. This comes off a bit fresh, but you've got that warmth. You've got a bit of an appley kind of fruitiness. There's ambery touches and the subtleties of the nutmeg in there as well, which makes for a really wonderful fragrance. And it's been a while since I've sampled it. I do need to get a larger bottle, like how much I have. But I actually really love the smell. It's been so long since I've worn it. Sushi Imperiale is also weirdly named. There's nothing about sushi here. It's apple pie, warm kind of holiday-like apple pie. So I don't know where they got the name Sushi Imperiale and why they did the fragrance in this style. I can't tell you there, but that's Sushi Imperiale, and it's a really, really awesome scent. Okay, next we're going to the house of Bon Parfumeur. We've got two fragrances from this house, and one of them is actually a nutmeg focus, and it's so good. This first one is called CUIR SAHIB 603. It's not my all-time favorite from this house. It's actually good if you like leathers mixed with kind of you know, the warmth of the zing of the nutmeg. In the end, this is a fragrance that's kind of in line with something like Tuscan leather. Let me know if you're a fan of this. CUIR SAHIB. I mean, I like it, you know, but the leather style has been just like oud. There's a lot of leather fragrances out there, and I kind of get bored from them. But now that I'm smelling it again, I can tell it's a really nice leather, like Tuscan leather or ombre leather, and there's a lot of warmth back there, warm spices with the subtleties of the nutmeg, providing its kind of zing, warmth, and spiciness that you know, we associate with the qualities of the nutmeg. There's other things happening here. There's woods. There's also ambery touches, but the leather is very, very dominant. It's quite spicy. There might even be saffron in this. So, and again, now that I've sampled it, I'm digging it, but it's leather. You know, there's so many leather fragrances out there. So I kind of get bored and lose interest in all the different varieties. It becomes overwhelming. Imagine walking into a restaurant, you get a novel, page after page after page of food items, and you're like, what am I going to order? There's just way too many choices here. Okay, next fragrance is another Bon Parfumeur, as I said. Let me get my papers. So this one is called 901 Muscade Amande Patchouli. So Muscade is nutmeg in French. This is so good, guys. So good. And there's the almonds with nutmeg and patchouli. Yum. It's really sexy. It's also, you know, it's got the warm spices. It's got a slight nuttiness and, you know, like a little gourmand twist. But then you've got that patchouli there as well. It wears really nicely. It does lean masculine as well. And it just is a really nicely made, kind of an everyday go, grab and go wear, but smelling nice. You know, you've got the earthiness of the woodsy patchouli. You've got a slight sweetness, nuttiness there. And the warmth of the nutmeg. And really here, it's pretty prominent. I think it's a standout note. And it makes a presence. You can totally smell it. And again, the best way for you guys to understand smells and fragrances is to smell the ingredients that you start liking in fragrances. Like, is that the nutmeg I'm smelling? I'm kind of liking that, you know? Go get yourself some nutmeg. Play around with it. I think spices are so easy to get. So grocery store, pick up some, start smelling it, and see if you can smell it in fragrances. And again, this one, 901, you can totally smell the nutmeg. It's warm, it's spicy, but, you know, it's not fiery hot like the cinnamon can be. Super spicy, super hot, and super prominent as well. This spice is a bit more reserved. It's not as strong as the cinnamon spice. But this 901 is awesome. I love it. And it might come off a bit simplistic as well. It's not like this, oh my God, this over-the-top amazing creation. It's pretty simplistic, but smells great the way it's done. So we're moving on to the house of Born to Stand Out. We've got NANATOPIA. So NANATOPIA, I believe the nutmeg is not so prominent in this one, from what I remember. But this one also has banana. I believe that's where NANATOPIA. The banana is pretty strong. And there's that subtle smell of the banana. It's like it's a fruit that has a subtle smell, not overpowering smell. So I think the nutmeg in this provides a bit of subtlety to it, to not overwhelm and take over kind of a thing. Because I think what they were trying to do was create this banana gourmand. And I think there's also some nutty notes in here. But the banana is pretty prominent. It almost smells like banana bread. Once again, kind of going into the holiday kind of spice direction or holiday themed, because the banana bread is fruity. But banana bread to me gives me a holiday vibe because there's, or holiday spice vibe, I should say, because there's those kind of spices thrown in there. Actually, I wasn't thinking this was a super awesome fragrance. It's actually quite good. And the banana does give me banana bread vibes, like I said. There's the freshness of the banana, but it's more of a ripened banana rather than something that's like yellow, just past the greenness of the banana before it gets uber ripe. Because I like my bananas in between, almost turning yellow after green, but not super ripe because I don't like the smell. But in cooking, like banana bread or desserts, I, of course, like it more when it's ripened. And this one gives me more of a ripened banana. But the nutmeg is there. You'll pick it up. But it's not super strong like the 901, the previous fragrance we discussed. I'm digging that. Maybe I have to do a banana video next. But honestly, guys, there's not a lot of banana fragrances out there. It's become popular lately. And if you guys ever caught my video with Mona Katan of Callisle, when she came to the studio, I was kind of talking to her, and I'd never met her before and never communicated with her. She was in San Francisco, and I found out, and one thing led to another. They came, we shot a video, and in that video, we were asking about what kind of fragrances they're making, and not knowing, I just threw out banana, and it turned out they were working on a banana fragrance I somehow guessed. But anyway, banana is not very popular. Do you enjoy banana fragrances? Let me know. Add a comment below. But the next fragrance we're going to, from the house of Calvin Klein, a men's classic. It's Obsession for Men. So Obsession for Men, I don't, I need to get a bottle of the women's because it's been a while. When I was going to high school, girls used to wear it in high school. It was, it had a distinct smell. I kind of liked it. And I actually really love the smell of men's Obsession. I'm not sure how old this is, but to me, this Obsession still smells pretty good. This was given to me by it was weird. It was just given to me in an Uber. So an Uber driver gave it to me because I love fragrances. Go figure that out. But I don't know how long this person had this, and I don't know what the latest formulation of this fragrance is, but this smells pretty darn good. It doesn't seem as dense and strong. But are you guys a fan of this? If this is the latest edition or like the most recent formulation, this is pretty good. It's warm and spicy. It's ambery for sure. And even though you might think there's a kind of cinnamony spiciness, that there's a hotness about it, I think that nutmeg is giving its coziness, It's nice to blend it with the nutmeg is nice to blend it with cinnamon and cloves and resins and things like that. It really does add an extra layer of warmth, but not taking over the presence of, notes like cloves and especially cinnamon, because it just totally dominates. But this stuff is so good. This is a classic men's fragrance. Again, as I was saying, I'm not sure what year this was produced, but that smells so good. I'm curious if they've kept the fragrance that great. It doesn't have the thickness that it once did because it smells thin. I could tell its thinness, but as a smell, it's so awesome. Let me know if you're a fan of Obsession, one of the best men's fragrances ever created. In fact, that whole series, the men's and the women's, were awesome. And if you caught my video with Pierre Dinan, he worked on the bottles. He's a world's most famous bottle designers. And so he worked on that fragrance. But the next fragrance we're going to is from the house of CARNER, Barcelona. It's Botafumero. You guys familiar with this? I should do like that. In the end, this is an amber, but there's something holiday spice baked goods kind of a vibe with the amber experience. There's a pepper spice in there, nutmeg spice in there, some additional spices. I mean, I've cooked plenty of times with spices and the flour. You're mixing the flour with all these different spices, and then you're putting in the ingredients to make a batter. That's the kind of vibe it gives me. But there's resins here for sure. There's a smoky resin as well. And the pepperiness can be tricking my nose, thinking it's pepper, but it's like incense. But I believe they usually use those kind of notes. But really loving the subtlety of the nutmeg in this. So awesome. It's not the most prominent note because it's a lot of amber. But there is a weird doughy, bready kind of experience. But more dough rather than baked bread, with a lot of spices. That's quite good, actually. I enjoy it. This house does have some great fragrances. They seem to be a bit under the radar, not as hyped as other brands. What do you guys think? Are you a fan of CARNER Barcelona? Next up, going to the house of Diptyque, it's L'Autre. Yeah, this is a very polarizing fragrance, honestly. Very, very polarizing. You either love it or you hate it. This stuff is overdosed with a lot of cumin. So cumin to me is not a very warm spice. It's a fresher spice, but it's quite pungent. And again, people associate it with body odor a lot of times. This stuff, I don't know. I've dealt with the actual spice plenty of times. I can kind of separate sweat BO versus cumin spice, but a lot of people can't do it because they do have a very similar smell. This stuff is super, super sexy, but what is the nutmeg doing here? I think it's mostly a fresh spice and a very pungent spice. It's providing some warmth to the experience. Ooh, it's so strong, but so good. So good. Wow. If you've ever let cumin or caraway seeds seep in like olive oil or lemon juice or something, your olive oil or lemon juice is going to start smelling like cumin and then tasting like cumin as well. And this is giving me that kind of a vibe now because this bottle is kind of old. Doesn't smell like it's turned whatsoever. It smells amazing. But I can totally see why people think cumin smells like body odor. But to me, as I said, I've learned to separate them, distinguish them apart. This smells like the spice. It doesn't smell like BO. It's a very pungent spice. Super, super strong. And this is like a cumin spice bomb, but there's the warmth of the nutmeg and it enhances the cumin in this, providing it a bit of warmth, but it's super fresh. So that's L'Autre from the house of Diptyque. Let me know if you're a fan of that. We're going to the house of Dior. I haven't spoken a lot about Dior lately, but this is Dior's Sauvage Elixir, and it's mostly a fresh spice, although I think the elixir is a bit more ambery. And the the nutmeg, I think the nutmeg provides that warmth, but it doesn't take over like if they use cinnamon instead of nutmeg, kind of a thing. In the end, it's that DNA that it's okay. But I think the elixir with Sauvage fragrances is probably the best. It's very aromatic, it's spicy, it's fresh, but also warm. There's a warmth there. I wouldn't call this a nutmeg focused fragrance, but you can kind of pick up the nutmeg. It's there, trying to, make itself seen. But I think the lavender and the ambery notes are kind of more dominating here. So that is Sauvage Elixir from Dior. Are you a fan? It totally smells like the OG Sauvage. So if you're a fan of that DNA, you will like Elixir if you haven't tried it yet. It's, I think, perfectly kept in the same DNA. I think Elixir is my favorite, but I hate that Forte that they launched last year. Gosh, Dior has not launched anything great recently. It started out this year with that dismal Dior Homme Parfum. Like, why bother calling it Dior Homme Parfum when you're completely changing Dior Homme Parfum? So confusing also. It's like, just change the damn name. Anyway, moving on to the next fragrance, going to the house of 8 and Bob, it's Egypt. So Egypt to me is warm and spicy and ambery, but also acts a bit like a fougere, like a barbershop amber fougere. So there are fougere-like touches, but it's warmed up. And I think warmed up with not only resins and ambery notes, but also some warm spices that don't kind of take over. So you've got the subtleties of the muscade or the nutmeg in this, perfectly blended with everything else. I think Egypt is definitely my favorite of the house. What else is there? There's a few fragrances I like from the house, but Egypt has become my favorite. I absolutely love it. I think the brand has redone their bottles, and has Egypt been kept or discontinued? I can't remember. I hope it's still around because it's such a great fragrance. If you like barbershoppy fragrances, this is going to satisfy. I wouldn't also call this a super barbershoppy. It acts like it, but I mean, it kind of also reminds me a little bit of Niloufer from what's the name of the brand? Nilafar du Nil, the brand, the Egyptian brand, which is weird, a coincidence, because this is called Egypt and it's reminding me a little bit of Niloufer, which is by Nilafar du Nil, and they're an Egyptian brand. They're not, I think Niloufer actually does remind me more of an amber fougere. This has got the light touches of an amber fougere. That one has a lot more lavender, so it acts more like a barbershop fragrance. Here, this is a subtle example of a fougere, a barbershop fougere with the ambery touches. But yeah, it's got the nice subtle muscade or nutmeg note. The next fragrance is from the house of ACQUA. This is Lettre de Pushkar. You guys familiar with this one? I've spoken about this one. It's a really nice one. It's a rosy amber with a subtle warmth in there. Honestly, guys, I actually went through a lot of databases and looked for a lot of nutmeg fragrances. And nutmeg seems to be most of the time a supporting player, not your most substantial. Because I smelled a lot of things and I couldn't smell nutmeg in a lot of the fragrances that I was going to talk about. This was actually almost a double the list. So I had to eliminate a lot of the fragrances. I don't think brands set out to do a nutmeg focused fragrance, but I think somehow it ends up that way. I've never seen a nutmeg focused fragrance. If you guys know that was intentionally made or created to be a nutmeg focused fragrance, let me know, add a comment below. But Lettre de Pushkar is a really great warm amber fragrance and very Middle Eastern style. I think there's saffrony touches in here. There's rose as well. And you've got warm spices, but warm spices that are subtle, not overwhelming. There's a slight leathery undertone, and I think it's coming from saffron, but I get a very saffron-y touch. But it's got a lot of amber in here as well. It's a solid release, created by Sonia Constant from LFSGQUESTIONS. This is Letter de Pushkar. I guess you can't really see it, the name. All right, next up, going to the house of Frederic Malle. This is Noir Épices. Yeah, this is a clove spice focused fragrance with a lot of oranges. And for me, when I smell this, I always envision the orange that's been plucked with a lot of cloves, and because it's the combo, it smells like that to me. But there is an underlying warmth of nutmeg in this as well. I've been actually featuring this one quite a bit in videos lately. And this is an OG non-Estee Lauder bottle, so I got to stop using it. But if you like the idea of oranges with cloves and warm spices, you got to try that one. I think it still sells. I don't think Frederic Malle has any discontinued any fragrances. At least I can't think of any. So I think that's still on the market. But a great example, just to enhance the spiciness of the cloves that are in here. It's super clovey. And there might even be traces of cinnamon in here as well. But it doesn't really overwhelm. This one also gives me vintage fragrance vibes. I'm not sure why I'm getting... What's the name of the... let's see if I can find it. It gives me a little bit of a vibe of this. Youth Dew. I don't know why. Has anybody gotten Youth Dew vibes from Noir Épices? Let me know. Yeah, it's pretty citrusy, orangey. It's not a sharp, tart, sour, stringent citrus. It's a nice, sweet tart, more on the sweet rather than the tart, and an overdose of cloves. But the nutmeg is there, providing its warmth to the experience, the wearing experience of that fragrance. But the next fragrance is from the house of Gleam Perfume. It's Iconic Gold. Who's a fan of this house? This is a sister house to Gritti. You guys familiar with that house? And Gritti is Luca Gritti, who's the perfumer for those, and he's the perfumer for these as well. This is a very sticky, warm amber. And it's spicy as well. But again, subtle spices. You can identify the nutmeg in this. It provides its subtlety. Its warmth, it's providing its warmth, but not dominating, not overwhelming. There's an underlying familiarity about this one as well, but I can't think of what it is. Whereas Noir Épices is kind of reminding me of this. I don't get why. I've never noticed that before, but I'm getting that now for some strange reason. This one, the Iconic Gold, does remind me of something, but I can't pinpoint what it is. But it's kind of golden, ambery, warm, spicy, maybe a slight bit smoky as well. But, you know, you've got a really nice dosage of nutmeg that doesn't overwhelm. I think the silver and the gold are really great fragrances from this house. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. I think we featured the gold in a special mystery box earlier this year that we only did like 200 of. And then I believe we did the silver in the last mystery box. But yeah, Iconic Gold from the house of Gleam, not Gritti. But it is created by Gritti. His name is Gritti, his last name. Luca Gritti is his first. Luca is his first name. So next fragrance going to the house of Goldfield and Banks. It's Island Lush. You can see my screen there. So Island Lush from Goldfield and Banks does have a little bit of ginger, but it's not about the ginger. Ooh, I can smell. Ooh, wow, this is nice. This is kind of nutty almondy. Is it Tonka? So almonds and And nutmeg is a great combination. This is giving me marzipan vibes. I don't know why. I don't think I've ever gotten marzipan vibes from this. Why am I getting that? I know it has ginger, but it's not as ginger as Ingenious Ginger with this from the same brand. And it's like tonka, almonds, something like that. But you know, there is that warmth of the nutmeg here for sure. But not super spicy. Even the ginger doesn't pop. But I'm loving that. What is that all about? Very strange. Let me know if you're a fan of Island Lush. I don't know if the name makes sense about that fragrance though. What do you guys think? Okay, the next fragrance I think is a great representation of a nutmeg focused fragrance. And it's also the perfect autumn fragrance. This is a fragrance from the house of Gucci called The Last Day of Summer. The nutmeg is front and center here. This is also a bit of freshness and also warmth together. I love this one. It's woody, it's spicy, slightly ambery. It's a bit warm, got its freshness. This is phenomenal. Really one of the best from this house. I absolutely love it. And even though when I smell it, I feel like it's a bit boring. And sure enough, for me, it's got that kind of boring vibe. But to me, it's done so well. I absolutely love it. Like when I look at the notes breakdown, it's like, oh, that sounds like it's going to be a boring fragrance kind of a thing, you know? But to me, they've done such a great job. This is actually Alberto Moria's. This launched with the first drop of these fragrances. And I think between the Rose, the Oud, and the Tiger one, these four are my favorite from the first batch of releases. But it's a great offering. It's pricey, but it's a great offering. And the prices have gone way up. These are like over $400 now. Damn. So I was at Neiman Marcus recently, and the associate showed me a new Acqua di Parma fragrance. I actually really loved it. And then they told me the price. I was like, what? It's like $425 or $430 for 100 ml Acqua di Parma. Shock. Total shock. I was surprised. It's not an oud or anything. It's a jasmine focused fragrance, but I tried it on and I was like, wow, that smells great on me. But I'm a little shocked at the price, but it was really good. Okay, going to the house of Histoire de Parfum. We've got two back to back. I think first one is 1828. Who's a fan of this house? Let me know. Add a comment below. They actually have a physical store in Paris, by the way. If you're ever in Paris, I recommend visiting their store. So this is mostly, it's the idea of fresh compositions, the fresh fragrances, giving a bit of kick, a zing to the fragrances with its warm spiciness. That's what I'm getting here. It's quite fresh and citrusy. It might come off too simplistic. That's the only issue with this one. And sometimes people don't consider, well, I mean, I don't know. I consider fresh fragrances to be not so, what's the word? Not so important, because they're freshies, you know, they're like citrusy fragrances. And even though I love them myself, I feel like other fragrances that are more substantial, more intense, or more complex the way they're made are much more important fragrances than these freshies. But this one, I think, if you like fresh fragrances and citrusy fragrances with some warmth thrown in there, I recommend you try it. Especially if you like nutmeg with a kind of a lemony, citrusy touch. That's 1828 from Histoire de Parfum. Are you a fan? All right, next, going to the house, the same house. This is Ambre 114. So there were a lot of ambers listed, but I just went through them and I felt like that one doesn't smell much like nutmeg is featured in there. This one did. And you know, it's quite resinous. It's quite powdery. And it's got a thickness about it. But the spiciness is just the right kind of spice. It doesn't overwhelm and take over the experience of the amber, the resinous, even slightly smoky touches. So there's a perfect amount of nutmeg in here. It's not like the main player, but you experience it for sure. It's nicely blended with all the other resinous, ambery, vanillic kind of notes that are in here, resinous kind of notes. That's definitely one of my favorite ambers. It's been a while since I've tried it. Histoire de Parfum Ambre 114. Let me know if you're a fan of that. Really awesome. I think it's a great winter fragrance, the Ambre 114. I mean, there's a lot of amber fragrances out there. I'm going to eventually do an amber deep dive, probably after I come back November and on. I think amber fragrances are definitely some of my favorite styles. In fact, if you caught my top 10 notes video, you would have noticed amber was included as a top 5. And amber is an accord. It's not really a note, but I decided to put it as a note because the amber style, again, it's a favorite style. But let's move on to the house of Jeroboam. This is Original. So there's a video I just recently did with Francois Anan of Jeroboam and Jovoy. And he explains this fragrance quite a bit. So this fragrance, Original, is the musk of all of the fragrances from Jeroboam. And Jeroboam just launched Kunamo, which is a pear and musk focused fragrance. And this is woody, spicy, and aromatic. It's clean and it's musk, but it's kind of like an aromatic, spicy kind of musk. I think there's juniper here. There's a nutmeg for sure. There's some light woods and aromatics in there. And it's simplistic, so it's a fragrance you can wear on its own. And, you know, it's simplistic, but you can also use this as a layering tool. Spritz it on first, let it dry, and then spritz on any of the other Jeroboam fragrances. Or you can also do it with other fragrances. It, intensifies the fragrance a little bit or adds a bit of depth. On its own, it's a bit simplistic and not very exciting to me, unfortunately. But some people like fragrances like this. But as a enhancing tool, it for sure kind of prolonged the life of your fragrances a little bit and also changed the smell a little bit. That's Original. But go catch that video with Francois Anan of Jeroboam and Jovoy. And that is Original, meaning the original fragrance, which actually all of the fragrances from Jeroboam has that as a base, that fragrance as a base in all of their fragrances, as a musk. So next, go into the house of Jill Sander. It's Sun Men EDT. I can't find this fragrance anymore. Has it been discontinued? Now, this is a very fresh fragrance. It's a sunny fragrance with some warmth. And I kind of get what they did here. I feel like they gave it this kind of a warm glow. I mean, they've got the color perfectly here. And it's kind of an idea of what you're going to get with this. It's simplistic. It's sweet. It's warm and spicy. And there's a slight beachiness there as well. Something solar. I wouldn't call it the most amazing or groundbreaking fragrance, but one of those fragrances that it's easy wear. You grab and go, spritz and leave and kind of thing. Or carry the bottle with you and replenish throughout the day. There's a little light warmth under there. And it's the warmth of the nutmeg. But it's a fragrance note that, it doesn't overwhelm too much. It's got its qualities, and it helps along the fragrances. But again, it's not like cinnamon where it's going to overpower. This next fragrance is one of my favorites utilizing nutmeg. Going back to the Jovoy Jeroboam brands, it's Jovoy this time. It's Incident Diplomatique. And what I love about this one, how the nutmeg works with the patchouli and the vetiver. So awesome. So awesome. This one, I'm going to do a rank list for you guys at the end. I'll give you a top 10 for sure. But what I'm going to do with the rank list, pick the ones that really makes the like in the fragrances that makes the nutmeg shine. This was one of my favorite fragrances for such a long time. I would get compliments wearing this one. And it's vetiver and patchouli. Both of them provide a slight booziness in here. It's grassy, it's earthy, slight bit damp. There's a bit of citrus in here as well. I believe there's some orange in here. But you needed that sprinkling of the warmth of the nutmeg. And it's the kind of spice that, again, it's about the vetiver and the patchouli. You don't want to overwhelm it with a cinnamon spice because that's going to dominate. It's going to kind of like kill the formula or the fragrance. It's going to smell so weird. But the nutmeg provides its subtle spiciness, adds a layer of warmth to a mostly fresh duo of fragrances and makes it smell fantastic. Really, really awesome. Again, Incident Diplomatique, definitely one of the best from this house. I got to ask Jovoy to make some more fragrances like that. Let's go back to fragrances like Psychedelic, Private Label, Incident Diplomatique, even Remember Me. Those are definitely top 4 fragrances. There should be one more. I have to think about it, though. But let's move on to the house of Kenzo. It's Jungle Om. This is a mohawk. Maybe not. So I had recently found out that this was actually being rebottled into a more uniform bottle. Is this true? This is created by Olivier Cresp, probably 6 years after he created Angel by Mugler. That was 92. This is like 98 or 97, 96, somewhere around there. This is also gives me vibes of Declaration by Cartier. It's a woody, spicy concoction. The nutmeg shines in this one. Lots of woods. It's quite spicy. But there's also a creamy layer here. I like this, but I wouldn't put it as my top 10. It wouldn't be in my top 10 for sure. But I like it. This is one of the fragrances that's a lot of woods with warmth, you know? And again, you're highlighting the woods here, not the spices. So it's the perfect note to add the nutmeg. It doesn't overwhelm, but it does add its, you know, light kind of warmth layer to the woodsiness. Definitely a great fragrance created by Olivier Cresp. This is Kenzo Om. And that is, we're almost done with page 1. Kenzo Om was created by Olivier Cresp from Firmenich. And again, I think he created that like 5-6 years after he did Angel in 92. This came out in 96 or 97, somewhere around there. I can't remember. But let's move on to Kerosene with Winter of 99. You guys know this one? A few of the kerosene fragrances uses something that comes off very marine to me. It's not this one. This one, actually, it smells so dark and smoky. But beneath it all, behind it all, there's a light layer of nutmeg. But this one, it's called Winter of 99. So meaning winter weather, the darkness, the gloominess. So it's smoky and woody. A bit fiery as well, but not fiery as in cinnamon spice. It's not. It's more like fiery hot, like burned, charred. But yeah, beneath it all, there's some traces of that nutmeg warmth that I really enjoy. And again, if you are trying to figure out what nutmeg smells like in real life, If you are into making eggnog, which the season's coming around the corner, that's the best time for you to experience the way nutmeg smells. But again, not everybody is into, you know, picking up ingredients and smelling them and then going to their fragrances to see how they smell. But some of you are, and I think that's the best way to learn to identify ingredients in fragrances. Playing around with the actual physical ingredients and see if you can spot it in a fragrance that you love. Okay, next going to the house of Lalique. This is Zamak. I had actually done a video of this line. I think there were 4 fragrances that somebody was mentioning to me. And I ended up buying 4 of them at around $50, $60 for these. These are like part of the Lalique exclusive collection. So they probably were over $200. So I did a video on them, and Zamak turned out to be my favorite, actually. Zamak is a very interesting smell, by the way. It's like between all of the fragrances I sampled that I bought from this collection, Zamak was the most unique. And I can see the nutmeg in here prominently. I feel like there's a fusion of freshness and some floral touches and some warmth. And to connect these together, there's the addition of the nutmeg spice in here, and it's quite unique that they've used this together to connect the freshness and the warmth together. It works really well. Again, that one turned out to be my favorite, and I think the person that recommended me buy these also said this was their favorite, or I think they were just recommending this fragrance and they said it's really good, nobody's talking about it. And I agree, it's a really great creation, Zamak. There's warm spiciness there. There's like ambery touches there, but also there's freshness there. And again, the nutmeg is kind of connecting the freshness with the warmth under there. It just acts like 2 sides, you know? There's a fresh side and a warm side. Lovely fragrance, Zamak. Let me know if you're familiar with Zamak. Sorry for the reflections. Sadly cannot help with that. Okay, next going to a house called Lee of True Minds. So I featured this in a suede leather video. Are you guys familiar with this house? For sure it's leathery, but there's a smoothness about it. And leather sometimes comes off fresh to me, and sometimes it comes off warm. This to me is like a fresh and warm leather. I think this is suede leather, but it's sprinkled with the warm spiciness of the nutmeg. There's a softness about it, and beneath it all, there's also some ambery touches. But it's acting, once again, fresh and also warm together. Not super hot and ambery. But whatever warmth we're getting, there's some warmth under there. And of course, the nutmeg is providing its light warmth as well. Are you guys familiar with this house? They were hyped pretty much for a while. I think a lot of their fragrances also were a bit light. I think they do some tea-focused fragrances. But I like this one and another one. This one's the suede, and there was a gourmand that I really liked that I've mentioned in videos. This is Of True Minds by Lee. Let me know if you're familiar with it. Lise? Is it Lise? Lee? All right, next, going to the house of M. Micallef. This is Delice. Delice. Who's a fan of M. Micallef? I discovered this house, I believe, on my first trip to Grasse, or maybe not. Somewhere around there. So Delice has a very fresh start, which develops into warmth, obviously, which is a lot of these fragrances, because they have the nutmeg and it's a warm spice. But there are some fresh compositions that we're going to get to that I can see how it works with freshness, adding that layer of zing, the warm spiciness. But here, it's woody for sure, but quite spicy. I'm getting a little bit of almondy effect. Probably that's not almond. Something is giving me a slight almondy effect in here as well. I wouldn't call this a true gourmand, but I'm getting some gourmand touches for sure. For sure, you can notice the nutmeg in this. It's quite lovely. And again, it's a spice that's not super strong, not overwhelming, not taking over. It's an elegant spice, I think. It controls itself from it being too loud, like the cinnamon spice. It's lovely. That's Delice from M. Micallef. All right, here's an example of, whoa. See, I don't like these wobbly bottles. This is the bottle that just wobbled. And they've just changed their bottles. Like, I appreciate that they changed their bottles, but that bottle is so wobbly. A little shaken, it just tips over. Okay, this next fragrance from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is Gentle Fluidity Silver. And here it's mostly a clean, fresh, sharp, metallic, ice-cold experience. But they've thrown in the nutmeg in here to give it a little bit of a warmth, a little bit more of a zing. So that's Gentle Fluidity Silver. This is also a fragrance I was not into at first. In fact, if you watch my video, I did a video on these two fragrances because it was a duo, Gentle Fluidity Silver, Gentle Fluidity Gold. I wasn't really enjoying the silver. It was so sharp to my nose. So piercing sharpness, ice cold, steel. But this has grown on me so much. I really love it now. But it's there. Like, just put your nose to it. Really focus on it. It's mostly a very crisp fragrance, but in there, you've got warmth for sure. It's screaming out. Well, not so much, but it's for sure there. There's a subtlety about the warmth of the nutmeg, but it's all blended and give you that kind of zing. And that's exactly what you're getting with this one. It's quite zingy. More like an ice cold zing. But I can totally see that here for sure. Are you guys a fan of this one? I would have thought the nutmeg would be more in Gentle Fluidity Gold. In fact, there might be nutmeg in the gold as well because the way the fragrances are made is the same ingredients. Some notes appear more in the silver versus the gold and then vice versa. So there might be nutmeg in the gold as well, but not so much as it is in here. So that's Gentle Fluidity Silver. Let me know if you're a fan of that. Next, going to the House of Violet or Maison Violet. It's Sketch. This is my second favorite fragrance from this house. It's patchouli, ambery, and warm spicy. It's super sexy. So they have two fragrances that I really love. This one definitely is my second favorite. What I like about it is that it's an overdose of patchouli, but in more of an amber spicy direction. And the warmth of the nutmeg is here, but no, it's a subtle warmth, you know? Subtle spice. That's a lovely fragrance. You know, I'm sorry to say, I'm drawing a blank with the name of the one that I really like. It's the Tobacco. It's hands down really awesome. We actually featured it in kit number 2, Scent Club kit number 2. I almost featured this one, but I went with the one that I really enjoy. And I love tobacco fragrances, obviously. I also like patchouli, but I actually like that fragrance more than this, even though I love this one too. But I can totally appreciate the nutmeg in here. Really awesome. And speaking of Scent Club kits, guys, we do have our latest. This kit has been more popular than the previous kit. So we have 3 awesome fragrances in this kit. We've got Vibrato, we've got Dodo Jackfruit Edition, and we've got Memoir d'été. Drawing a blank. Three great fragrances. I think perfect for late summer into autumn. The kit's selling. Yeah, it's been more popular than the last kit. I think maybe the fragrances in the last kit were not fragrances you guys liked. Let me know. Add a comment below. So let's move on to the next fragrance from the house of Mancera. It's Tonka Cola. Who's a fan of Tonka Cola? This has been a great fragrance from Mancera. I'm enjoying this. And even though it's a Tonka-focused fragrance, there's cherry qualities here. There's also cinnamon spice here. You can really notice it. You can also really notice the nutmeg, all rolled into a really delicious, kind of a fizzy, effervescent, cola-esque Tonka cherry thing. It's a great gourmand, really, really lovely. I've come to really appreciate Tonka in fragrances. And you know, Tonka is also used in fougere fragrances, guys. And it's the base notes, but you know, in fougères, they're not gourmand. They're not using the gourmand side of the Tonka. I don't know about this one, but I think the cinnamon is quite spicy in here. So spicy. But I think it's a really nice combo of cinnamon and also nutmeg. The nutmeg in here does cross out the cinnamon a little bit, because I think the cinnamon, probably the amount of cinnamon they used in this is probably less than the nutmeg, but because the nutmeg has more of a subtler smell in comparison to the cinnamon, so they would have to balance it out somehow. So I'm getting both, but the cinnamon comes off a little bit stronger because it's a stronger smell. All right, that's Tonka Cola from the house of Mancera. You know, I've been meaning to get my nose on explicit vanilla. Has anybody gotten their nose on it? And what do you guys think? Add a comment below. Let's move on to the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. It's B683. And his first fragrance, created by Contam Beach, probably launched in 16. Almost 10 years old now. He launched with one fragrance. And actually, he's a couturier. He makes clothing. I've actually been to his atelier in Paris, but I think he moved from there. This was like in 2019. I shot a video in his atelier when he was launching Ganymede. And nobody knew Ganymede was going to be so popular. And it turned out to be a worldwide phenomenon. Almost as big as Baccarat Rouge 540, but not as big. But a lot of people love that fragrance. I like it too. Here, it's very woody spicy. Very, very woody spicy with light ozonics thrown in, ozonic notes. There's a freshness surrounding it. And I think this is where the nutmeg comes in handy and adds an extra layer of warmth. Not as strong in here as I wanted it to be, but I think it's perfect the way it is. I don't think it needs to be stronger, the nutmeg note that is. Are you a fan of B683, or do you prefer Ganymede more? And do you like B683 Extrait? B683 Extrait is so like animalic, guys. If you haven't tried it, if you like animalic notes, try it. I think the animalic notes are, I mean, it's got, like, I think it's the oud that they're using in there. It's quite funky. But, you know, it's a concentrated take on B683. It's not as fresh, super dense and sticky, but you've got animalics thrown in there as well. So that is Marc-Antoine Barrois B683. This is Molton Brown's Tobacco Absolute. This is the Eau de Parfum concentration. This is a leafy tobacco, not a smoky tobacco. But I prefer the Eau de Parfum more than the Eau de Toilette. Well, actually, the Eau de Toilette has the freshness. It's lighter. Here you got the denseness. And for me, in the EDP, the nutmeg stands out more because the Tobacco Absolute in EDT is fresher. It doesn't come off as prominent to me. Here you can notice it against the leafiness of the tobacco leaves. There's a musty old library books kind of a quality to it because it's the tobacco leaves. There's a kind of leaves to me have a kind of a musty smell. I've actually seen tobacco leaves I think a long time ago, and I've experienced it and smelled them and everything like that. And there's a kind of a musty smell to them, at least a slight bit antique-y, at least from what I remember. And this gives me that kind of an idea. It's warmed up because it's more of a fresh note, the tobacco leaves, because it's leafy and dry. And you got that kind of happening here, but the nutmeg really nicely warms up the fragrance. So that's Tobacco Absolute in Eau de Parfum. Are you familiar with that one? Up next is fragrance from the house of Montal. It's Musk to Musk. Yeah, they've thrown in nutmeg in this musk fragrance to warm it up a bit. I think my bottle has turned though, bummer. But you can smell, I mean, after it wore off the first spray, you can kind of smell the musk. The musk is not a dirty musk, not an animalic musk. It almost seems like synthetic musk that's trying to be a realistic musk. But for sure, there's some warmth with it. So it's mostly about the musk here in this musk fragrance. But the nutmeg, again, is providing its subtle warmth, giving it a bit of a spicy kick. I wouldn't say this is my favorite fragrance from Montal. Let me know, guys, if you are a fan of it. What do you think about it? I know Montal has other great fragrances, but this is the only one that I found nutmeg in that kind of stood out to me. So that's Musk to Musk from the house of Montal. So this next fragrance I brought back from a trip a couple of trips ago. Wait, no, it's not that one. It's this one. Never mind. We'll get to that in a little bit. This is a different fragrance from the house of Nisaba. This is called Sulawesi. So this fragrance is patchouli focused, coming from the Sulawesi, Indonesia, because that's where patchouli comes from. It's a fresh, slightly green-leaning patchouli and an underlying warmth under there. This is the kind of fragrance that's great to wear if you want fragrances that are with lingering power. But mostly fresh, very earthy, very woody, green-leaning patchouli. This is not chocolate cake. But with that freshness, you've got some warmth under there. I'm going to pause the video here. But it's quite a lovely fragrance, this Sulawesi. It's a great fragrance for a patchouli lover. And patchouli, I always mention, it lingers. It lasts a long time. It's got great lingering power. And also, it stays on, and you might think it's gone, and you move around a little bit, and it's projecting off of you again. I like that about it. And it's mostly a fresh fragrance with subtle warmth under there. There's some warm spices, you know, the nutmeg is there to enhance it. But that, once again, the nutmeg is there to warm it up, but it's giving it a bit of a kick, a zing, but it's not overwhelming the patchouli because this patchouli is the star here. Lovely, lovely scent. Great, one of my favorites from Nisaba. This is Sulawesi. Do I have it right? All right, this next one is the fragrance I was talking to you guys about. 2 trips ago, I came back from visiting Germany, Austria, and I bought this in a Müller store. I was surprised at this brand, and I wish I bought a larger bottle of this because it's so good and it's really cheap. This is Otto Kern Signature Extreme. Lovely fragrance, lovely. Those of you that live in Germany, if you like budget fragrances, get yourself some bottles of this. It's so good. It acts a bit fougere-like. It reminds me of fragrances from the late 90s and 2000s. Giving me a little bit of an idea of Le Male sort of a fragrance, because there's a Tonka-ish vibe here. There's a lavender type vibe, but also subtle warmth and subtle spices. Very prominent with the nutmeg. Really, really great. And it's such a great smelling fragrance. And it's also so cheap. I think this is a 30 ml bottle and I paid like 10 euros for it. And this brand is not represented here. I absolutely love this fragrance. I bought this and the non-extreme version of this, just called Signature, I think. But the extreme is the best. So, so good. So amazingly good. I wish it was sold here. I think, I'm for sure this is a German brand. The name is right down there. Who's a fan of this? It's really, really lovely. I can't believe how cheap it is. I mean, a lot of people think I'm a snob. I only like expensive fragrances. It's not true. I paid around 10 euros for that. And it smells so good. I would totally wear it, and I've worn it. Okay, next up, going to the house of Parfums de Marly. It's Carlisle. I was so excited when I first brought this back from Europe. This was actually an exclusive fragrance for the Paris and London boutiques of Parfums de Marly. This was around 2015. I brought that back after I shot a video in their boutique in Paris, which is now not in the same boutique. Long time ago, over 10 years ago, I think maybe just 10 years ago. And I really, really wore this one so much. It was so super potent and loud, intense, very robust fragrance. Warm and spicy, woody, bit vanillic, and definitely there's a spice in there that's warm, but not overwhelming. Just kind of this zing, the kind of warmth that you want, but not creating a major presence with it, you know? This actually also has been, I did a video on this. This actually reminds me of Red Tobacco from Mancera. And there's another fragrance from Terenzi that also reminds me of it. So 3 different brands having similar fragrances. Mancera's Red Tobacco is quite intense. Really intense. And the thing is, they smell similar, but they're not identical. You know, they do different twists to them, I guess. But the first experience has always been Carlisle. Then it was Red Tobacco. Then it was the Terenzi. But I really like what they've done with this one. It's been a while since I put my nose to it. And I really like its robustness. It's quite intense. This bottle is quite old also. And the juice has gotten mature and macerated. And there's no freshness here. I mean, there might be some fresher notes, but they're not like prominent. They don't really stand out. So the entire juice smells super concentrated and intense. In fact, it reminds me more of Red Tobacco for this time around than it's ever done before. Carlisle, let me know if you're a fan of it. Have you guys have you noticed the nutmeg note in this? Next, going to the house of Parfums Dusita. It's Moonlight in Chiang Mai. We've featured this in a grapefruit video. Now it's in the nutmeg video. And the nutmeg is so super standout in this. With the freshness of the grapefruit. And also its musky qualities in the base. This might be a top 10. In fact, after I did the grapefruit video, I took my bottle and started wearing it. I love the way this smells on me. It's so good. So, so good. You guys fans of Moonlight in Chiang Mai? Maybe it leans a bit masculine. But you really notice how the nutmeg warms up the grapefruit in here. And it's warm, it's noticeable, but it's not intrusive. It's not getting in the way of other things. It just, you know, it adds that extra layer of zing, the kick, the zestiness. I love that. It's so good. I wore a lot of it like in 2020 or 21, but I've rediscovered this fragrance now, and it's a really, really great creation from Dusita. Let me know if you're a fan of it. Moonlight in Chiang Mai from Parfums Dusita. Let's move on to the house of PENHALIGON'S. This is Babylon. Babylon was a surprise fragrance for me, one that I really enjoyed. In fact, this was a fragrance I was wearing quite a bit of during the pandemic. And those days, a lot of people were covering their noses. And there was a restaurant I used to go to, and the waitress had her nose covered. And she fell in love with this fragrance on me. What I like about this one, it's a vanilla, and it's very woody. It's got a slight booziness, and it's got a subtle warmth, in addition to the warmth of the vanilla. There's ambery touches here as well. And I think the nutmeg is there, but it's not as strong as something like Moonlight and Chiang Mai. It's really prominent in that. But here, you can pick it up, but I think the vanilla and the booziness is dominating a bit too much, I think. But I think they used it correctly. It doesn't stand out too much, but it's nice. It's making a presence, but very subtly. If you're a fan of Babylon, let me know. I think it's definitely one of the best from the house. PENHALIGON'S. Okay, it's a fragrance from the house of Regalian. It's Antidote. Okay, guys, let me tell you something. If you are looking for a bottle of Pure Havane, this is your answer for Pure Havane from Mugler. But it has some nice dosage of nutmeg in here. Pure Havane. It also reminds me a little bit of Xerjov's Naxos. And I think it's the nutmeg that's giving it a bit of a different twist than what I'm familiar with as far as Pure Havane or Naxos goes. A big fan of Pure Havane. I've been a fan of it for a long time. In fact, I've got 4 bottles that I've backed up. And I have a feeling Mugler will bring it back. I know they're doing some stuff to see what they can do. They're just bringing back Mugler Cologne. Most likely they'll bring it back because I think people want it. Maybe they'll bring back as an eau de parfum or a parfum. Who knows? Come on, Mugler, bring it back. But in the meantime, if you want something that's kind of like that, kind of in between Pure Havane and Naxos, try Antidote with that nutmeg touch that's giving it some warmth. I love that. Okay, next moving on to Soradora. It's red. I think Soradora's red was an exclusive launch for Jovoy, but I think it's gotten the worldwide release. Red is a bit strange to me. But for sure, the nutmeg is sort of stand out. It's also a bit savory. Yeah, it's a strange fragrance. It's spices and savory notes and some freshness. What do you guys think of this? I love Soradora, but this is a weird fragrance to me. What am I smelling? It smells salty and a bit umami savory. Where's the nutmeg? No, I think the nutmeg is there. I'm starting to pick it up all of a sudden. Usually nutmeg is a heart note. Sometimes it's in the top. Sometimes it's in the base as well. But this is, yeah, I'm picking up the nutmeg, but it's acting so savory, salty, rice-like. Are you familiar with the Soradora's red? Let me know. Add a comment below. We're going to the house of Sospiro next. It's Opera Grande. Who's a fan of Opera Grande? Who's a fan of Sospiro? Somebody added a comment the other day. I think they mentioned they bought a sample of the Dolce Melodia, and they said there's some strange note at the top. It's a bit animalic, or like oud. You know, when I first wore Dolce Melodia, I had that reaction as well. I almost thought I wasn't going to like Dolce Melodia. It's become my favorite fragrance. I think my nose got used to it, and it wasn't bothering me anymore. So I think if you are bothered with things like that, don't give up on a fragrance right away. Sometimes, I mean, if I just gave up on that fragrance, it would never have been a favorite of mine. It's been a favorite. We've even featured it in a Scent Club kit. But going back to Opera Grande, it's quite woody and spicy. Maybe a little ambery. but there's a lot of freshness up top with a unique warmth that's beneath it all. Opera Grande is not one of my favorite fragrances from the house. I find it to be a bit boring, not exciting. There's a little bit of a soapiness and maybe slight bit leather in here as well. But for sure, there's the subtle qualities of the nutmeg really, really prominently in this. So that is Opera Grande. Let me know if you've actually played around with nutmeg, the little nutmeg nuts, I guess. There's a little jar of it, and it comes with a little shaver. You can kind of shave on top of things, almost like you're shaving a little truffle from under the ground. But yeah, if you've got experience, you kind of know what nutmeg smells like. Do let me know, add a comment below. But let's move on to the house of Suleko. It's Baba Yaga. Are you guys familiar with this fragrance? What do you think of this? Beautiful creation. The bottle itself is kind of boring, but the outside is really cool. I guess the glass comes from Limoges, France. So this also comes on top of the... This is a Cécile Zarokian creation, by the way. And to me, it's autumn in a bottle. Literally, it smells like autumn. But it's a bit problematic to spray this. I have a video of this fragrance on the channel. Super spicy. A lot of fresh spices, dry shrubs and leaves. And then underneath it all, it's warm spices. Just imagine you're out and it's red and orange leaves falling. The ground is all covered with those leaves. You're raking them. And you know that dust that kind of it's creating from the leaves and the shrubs. It's giving me that kind of a vibe. But underneath it all, there's a warm spice added to it. And it's the nutmeg spice. It's got warmth, but the majority of it is a bit cold and breezy. It's not my favorite fragrance from Cécile Zarokian, but actually the bottle is just super gorgeous. It looks like a tree trunk. And I've spilled some perfume on it. Anyway, that is Baba Yaga from the house of Suleko. Next, going to the House of Oud, or THOO. It's Golden Powder. All right. This brand makes the most beautiful bottles, don't they? Their designs are just awesome. So this is an Italian brand, and I believe they're connected to New Notes. You know the brand New Notes? And a few other brands. What I love about this one, it's very powdery. It's got an underlying kind of a Middle Eastern, almost gourmand fragrance DNA, but with a subtle warmth as well. I mean, it's a very warm, spicy fragrance, but once you kind of pick out the nutmeg in this, it really fits the way the fragrance is created really wonderfully. It's very cozy, very, very cozy, and I love it. It's so beautiful. It's warm, spicy, but it's not overwhelming spicy. Just a really nice, subtle spiciness, but really warm and powdery. It's golden powder is what it's called. With the most beautiful bottle. All right, the next fragrance, you'll really notice the nutmeg in. It's from the house of Tiziano Terenzi. It's Hail Bop. Hail Bop is a really awesome fragrance that's kind of similar to Chanel's Le Lion, less animalic. Also, it's super potent because it's an extract. The Le Lion is eau de parfum. But to me, if you've been bothered by, I mean, I've received many comments saying it's too animalic for me. It's got too much leather. If you think that is like that, the Le Lion, try this one. Hail Bob to me reminds me of Le Lion. Not identical, but reminds me of it. It's an amber, it's resinous, it's balsamic, but it doesn't have that leather. You do have the citrusy touches that Le Lion also has, but this one has it too, but it's so good. But the warmth in here, the nutmeg warmth is just really, really awesome. Really blends beautifully with ambers and ambery style fragrances, adding a nice layer of warmth to it. So, so good. Really, really awesome. A great alternative for Chanel's Le Lion. Let me know if you've tried Hail Bop from the house of Tiziana Terenzi. Next, we're going to a house called Toba. It's Serendipity. You guys familiar with this? Toba by Serendipity. I'm sorry, Serendipity by Toba. I have a video on the channel of these fragrances. I think their initial launch. This is mostly a fresh, spicy fragrance, but it does have a little bit of warmth under there. There's a freshness about it with some citruses, and I believe there's some freshness about it with some aromatics as well. There's woods under there, but the nutmeg stands out prominently and giving you a nice contrast of fresh spices and warmth in there. The nutmeg is adding the layer of warmth, but not a lot of super distinct smell. Leans masculine for sure. This is a very woody, spicy offering. And to me, one thing I forgot to mention, maybe I did, nutmeg has a very autumn-like presence to me. And this is a really, really awesome autumn presence-like fragrance. If you like it woody, spicy with that autumn experience, try that Serendipity by Toba. All right, next, going to the house of Tom Ford. It's Noir Extreme. Noir Extreme does have spices. It has cardamom. It has ginger. And of course, it has nutmeg. And it has that kulfi, that Indian pistachio ice cream. I think that's what kulfi is. I think what happened with this series, it started out with Noir, right? Noir was a bit daring, was a bit animalic and musky. Did remind me a little bit of Habit Rouge as well. Was it Habit Rouge or something else? Something like that. And then I think they launched the Eau de Toilette, but I don't think people were buying it. I think it was just too musky and animalic. Then they launched this. This became very successful. Then they launched a woman's version of this, Noir Femme, which was very, very close to this. Then they launched Noir Anthracite, and they're like, nobody's buying this. Everybody's calling it a dead cat. Smells like a dead body. I should have seen all the comments when they came in for Noir Anthracite. So that got flopped big time. I absolutely love that fragrance. It's a great green chypre style. And then they launched the Parfum, but I think they're very successful with the Noir Extreme. And they're capitalizing on the Noir series. And of course, I wouldn't call this a flanker of Noir. I think it's more of a fragrance on its own. But it's quite good. It's a great gourmand. It's spicy for sure. It's zingy, zesty. And I think the fact that they're using the ginger with its zestiness, the zinginess, even the cardamom has that zesty zinging, more zingy, spicy, a bit soapy, camphor. And then of course the nutmeg here provides that warmth, because I consider the cardamom and the ginger more fresh spices, and here we've got a bit of warmth from the nutmeg. But it's a great scent, I think. I prefer the Parfum, but the Parfum didn't have as much of a nutmeggy presence, because I think the ginger and the cardamom in that is so intensified, and it's also acting a lot more ambery. I couldn't really pick out the nutmeg in that as much. But the last fragrance we're going to talk about is from the house of Zoologist Perfumes, Chipmunk. This used to be my number 2 favorite fragrance from this house. I think it's still a top 5. Do you guys want to see a ranked list of Zoologist Perfumes fragrances? Or do you want to see a deep dive? So, this is This is mostly a warm, I'm sorry, this is mostly a fresh fragrance. It also has the quince note in here, like a quince jam note, so it's slightly sweet on top, but it's quite nutty. I think it has hazelnuts, and it's got some warmth in there as well. It's again, it's no longer my second favorite. I think my number one is still B. Rabbit is also number 2, and of course this month we also have Dodo, the jackfruit edition in our kit, so that's definitely number 3. But this still might be top 5 for sure. But the nutmeg in this does add that extra layer of warmth, and mostly a kind of a fresher fragrance. Not very warm experience with that one. So that is Chipmunk from the house of Zoologist Perfumes. And that is the last fragrance for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into nutmeg fragrances. Let me know if you're a fan of nutmeg. Let me know if you have a favorite nutmeg fragrance. Add a comment below. What did you think about these fragrances? What's missing? Also, let me know what's missing. Sometimes, you know, as I was saying, I had almost double the amount. I had to like edit it down. Some of them didn't act very nutmeg forward or nutmeggy. But maybe to you, it acts more nutmeggy. Add a comment. Let me know what's missing. Again, noses are different. We pick up different things. Mostly the same things, but there are differences sometimes. We experience them differently. And as I was going through, I edited the list. But I do have a really nice selection of nutmeg fragrances. I hope you enjoyed this video. But do let me know what your thoughts are. Add a comment below. And thanks so much for watching today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure to subscribe and click that bell icon. And also, please give a thumbs up for this video. And do let me know, what do you want to see next? What kind of themes do you want to do? Yesterday or the day before, I aired a video for several of Jacques Fath fragrances that were discounted and also discontinued, like this Vers le Sud. I was actually putting together a marine fragrances video, which is going to air probably in the next week, around Labor Day. And I was looking for this one because it's a fig fragrance with marine notes. And I noticed that it was discontinued, not on the Jacques Fath website. And it was at like a discounter for 17 bucks, 50 ml bottle. So cheap. So if you haven't caught that video, please catch it. But yeah, I will do a marine video. But let me know other themes you want to see. Anything that's completely out of the ordinary. Like, we've done a lot of notes. We've done perfumers, brands, styles. What else is there? Do add a comment, let me know, and see you guys later. Bye-bye. Okay, I shot the ranking separately because I completely forgot to do it in the main video. So this will be added at the end of our video, most likely after the outro. So stick around and watch this, or I'll somehow indicate it in the info box. So let's start off with this. This is going to be at the bottom of the list. I love the way this smells so much, this Obsession for Men by Calvin Klein. And again, as I was saying in the main video, I don't know how old this concentration, I'm sorry, not the concentration, this formulation is. It smells so good today. I got it included. So I'm doing a rank list of 12. So this is 12. That is definitely included here. Let's see. Number 11, Diptyque's L'Autre. Gotta put that in there. It's at the bottom more because it is about the cumin spice, but that stuff is amazing. If you don't know that fragrance, check it out. It is so, so awesome. So we're gonna add Gentle Fluidity here at number 10. And even though I really love this, it's an unusual way to enjoy the nutmeg note. So I feel like it's a freshie, and I kind of like the other ones maybe a bit warmer, the way I'm experiencing them. So I would rank this one a bit lower. But I really love this as a very clean, crisp, fresh fragrance. And this is Gentle Fluidity Silver at number 10. Okay, let's find... Next, we're going to put at number 9, 901 by Bon Parfumeur. Even though it's a bit simplistic, it smells really, really great. And they do you know, like highlight the muscade, the nutmeg note, pretty prominent in there. And even though I wouldn't call this the most groundbreaking or one of the best fragrances ever created, I think it's really done nicely. So I'm going to make that at number 9. So at number 8, we're going with Nisabas Sulawesi. So you've got that nutmeg here, and you've got a lot of earthy patchouli. It's more fresh with subtle warmth under there. Really love the way they've done that. And I love that it's got a great lingering power. It's super sexy with the patchouli. So that's got to be at number 8. And then at number 7, it's 8 & Bob's Egypt. I really love 8 & Bob's Egypt. I think it's a great fragrance, giving you hints of an amber fougere, but warm and spicy with the nutmeg as well. Definitely my favorite from the house of 8 & Bob. That is at number 7. Okay, next, I'm trying to, so that is at number 7. We got 4, 5, 6. Okay. I am leaving off Carlisle and Hale Bop. I love those 2 fragrances. I didn't want them in the rank list. But the next fragrance is NANATOPIA. I can't believe how good this is now. The banana in this has become so yummy, and the warmth of the nutmeg together with the banana. The banana seems like also it's a bit like a banana bread. Super delicious. Love it. You guys tried NANATOPIA? That's at number 6. Next, at number 5, it's Moonlight in Chiang Mai from Parfums Dusita. Unbelievably great. I can't believe how good it is. And I hadn't worn it in a long time. It was probably been about 4 years. But now that I pulled it for grapefruit a couple weeks ago, and now for nutmeg, even better. But it's mostly a freshie, and it smells amazing on me. It's got this nice fusion of freshness and also warmth together. And it's nutmeg, so it doesn't get in the way too much. It's got a spice, it's got a kick, but it's not overwhelming like cinnamon. So that's Moonlight in Chiang Mai from the house of Parfums Dusita. 1, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay, we've got 4 more fragrances left here. At number 4, The Last Day of Summer by the House of Gucci. Yeah, this is awesome. It's a really, really great fragrance. It does smell like the last day of summer. It's dry, it's warm, it's aromatic, it's spicy, but also fresh and, you know, fusion of fresh and warm together. Really great fragrance that was created by Alberto Morillas for the first drop of the fragrances in this collection of fragrances from the House of Gucci. This is The Last Day of Summer. Really nice work from him. Then we've got Sketch by Maison Violet or Violet. It's a not a fougere. It's a patchouli focused fragrance with a lot of amber and warmth under there. It's super sexy. I like that about it. And it gives me like vintage amber vibes with an overdose of the patchouli and warmth from the spices, including the nutmeg. The bottles have also been changed. They've got this little label on the back here, and then in the front you got the Sketch. It's a great fragrance from that house. All right, the next one at number 2, it's Tonka Cola. Really wonderful. And it's like the cinnamon and the nutmeg really kind of balance each other out, whereas you think the cinnamon's going to take over, but there's enough nutmeg to contrast it. But of course, you've got a lot of tonka. There's a cherry and a fizziness like a Coca-Cola effect. It's a really great gourmand with a highlight of warm and notes and ambers and things like that. So that's Tonka Cola at number 2. At number 1, got to be Incident Diplomatique. Here, I really love the nutmeg. It really, really works wonderfully with the the patchouli and the vetiver, which is the prominent notes in here. There's also orange and a few other notes, but together it makes for a really great, you know, what do you call it? Like it's patchouli and vetiver, right? And then right down the middle, there's this nutmeg note. It kind of balances each other out, both of those very earthy notes, woody notes. And again, it adds a little bit of warmth and a little bit of spice to make for a very sexy, long-lasting, mostly masculine offering from the House of Jovoy. It's Incident Diplomatique. All right, that's the list, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.